Hey, what's up you guys? This is Sentai22 here. How you guys all doing? And today I'm going to talk about the Saban Brands announcement that they've been partnered up with Nickelodeon to extend the airing rights for Power Rangers until 2016. Now originally it was supposed to end until 2014, but it seems that Saban Brands was so happy with the ratings and the money that they've been getting in from Power Rangers that was on Nickelodeon that they decided to extend the contracts for a few years. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if the Power Ranger money train started to roll in and even more, they'll probably extend it for another few years, 2020, 25. Now, a lot of people are not happy about this because Nickelodeon, of course, has a tendency of scheduling difficulties with Power Rangers, as well as the lack of promotion for Power Rangers. I mean, for God's sakes, they aired the Clash of the Red Rangers promo just 2 hours before the actual special, and so a lot of people just don't like it. They prefer, you know, putting Power Rangers on Vortex, which is Saban's new Saturday morning block that airs on the CW. Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, they cannot air Power Rangers. That cannot happen. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, I'm going to just tell you, in a way, it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But let me just tell you about the good thing. Now, as bad as Nickelodeon is, as bad as they air SpongeBob on a daily basis, pretty much air constantly SpongeBob marathons pretty much every day on Nickelodeon and other shows that Nickelodeon tends to forget, it is still the most popular kids channel, actually the #1 kids channel across the country. It spreads out to more homes across the country, and it is a perfect platform for Power Rangers. Again, it might have its problems, but it's still a great place to put Power Rangers in, and that's why Saban Brands decided to extend the contract even more, because of course, as long as the money's rolling in, that's all that matters. Okay? Now, I know a lot of you guys want Vortex to be on Power Rangers, but the thing is, Vortex does not have a lot of viewership across many parts of the country. I mean, for example, if you go to a rural part of a town in America, most of them have satellites, and in that satellite lineup you will still find Nickelodeon regardless. Vortex is on an affiliate station. There are many different affiliates across the country. For example, you may have CW28, I have CW11. Here they air Vortex around 7 o'clock in the morning to 12 p.m. In other places they aired on different times. They air Vortex on Saturdays in the afternoons, because of course they have paid programming on Saturday mornings, so they can't do that. Other places they have to split it into 2 days, because of course they have their local programming, so they, you know, cut the Vortex block into 2 days. Some of them in the afternoon, and some of it right around in the morning on Sundays, which will create a lot of difficulties for ratings. Of course, you have contend with FCC regulations, because, you know, it's not like it used to be back in the Fox Kids days. Back then they would pretty much show a lot of gratuitous violence, but not anymore. This isn't 1991 or 1992, this is 2013. Free over-the-air broadcasting for children's programming has been regulated very, very toughly. For example, if you watch the first episode of Power Ranger Samurai, you would watch if you remember watching the first episode of Power Ranger, you see the Stretch Monster, for example, where he destroyed this car with people, like a running car with people in it, and it just exploded. They will probably edit that out, okay? And that's one of the reasons, like I said before, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy only ended halfway, because there was so much violence in there that they decided to take it out because of strict FCC regulations. At least with cable, they don't have to deal with that. And now let's take a look at the bad part about it. Is, of course, you have the 20 episode a year issue every year, which leads to a lot of problems. Of course, you have the same cast for 2 years. You have the Sentai footage, of course. The current Sentai is 3 years ahead of Power Rangers. Okay, I mean, Goseiger is 3 years old at this point, and they're still adapting it. It used to be 1 year. But in a way, it's kind of a good thing if you are the producers and the writers of Power Rangers, because at least now it gives them some time to evaluate the episodes that they're adapting, and they will choose which episode to adapt, and they'll write the script for it. Back then, they would have to wait until the masters for those episodes from the Sentai series comes out. Now that the Sentai series is finished, they can pretty much see the episodes through and through and see what they can cook up with, and see what they can wrap series with in terms of story and plots and all that stuff. So in a way, it's kind of a good thing, because they don't have to wait until the masters for the Sentai series comes out. And now that way they have the footage, they have the Sentai series already finished. They can see what episodes they could adapt or cannot adapt, and they'll put it on future Power Rangers adaptations. And I know there's been a lot of stuff about Toei pretty much throwing away the monster costumes and the Sentai props. Actually, not anymore. Since they made a lot of money from the movies and all that stuff, they decided pretty much to save everything now. It used to be back in the day they pretty much scrapped everything, but now they saved everything, including, we thought that they pretty much scrapped the Power Ranger, the Shinkanger props, but they actually kept them. And that's all that matters. As long as Toei saves all the props, Saban can use them. With the new era now is that the costumes themselves will be slightly altered. I mean, if you look at the monster costumes in Power Ranger Samurai, for example, actually two of them, you have the Master Xander costume and the Octoroo costume. The Octoroo costume, for some reason, has a mouthpiece. For some reason, it looks like a troll or something like that. He has an octopus mouth, but instead they gave him a face. They gave him a mouth. What is that? And also the Master Xander phase looked a little bit different in Power Ranger Samurai than it did in Shinkanger. If you look at the original footage from Power Ranger Samurai, the New Zealand footage, the Master Xander face looked a lot different than the Shinkanger version. So it could be that they had to modify the costumes because they were degrading in storage for such a long time. It's been 3 years since that Shinkanger ended, and so they were left in storage. And once they got the monster costumes from the show, that they were degraded to a point that they had to do some modifications. So you will see in future Power Rangers adaptations where the monster costumes were altered somewhat. You probably won't even notice it, but this will be probably that big issue. I mean, back then you wouldn't have these issues because, of course, again, as I mentioned, 1 year, so they would get the monster costumes a lot easier that way, and they wouldn't have to worry about the degradation because, of course, they already used it recently. They didn't use it like 3 or 4 years ago. So, and also the issue with the 3-year gap between Power Rangers and Sentai. It used to be 1 year, now it's 3 years. Now, there are a lot of people that say it will cause hybrids like what they did with Super Mega Force. Now they're using the Gokaiger suits as super modes, you could say. But I don't think after the anniversary is over that they will try to do this with Kyoryoger or Go Buster, because it wouldn't make any sense. What they will probably do after Super Mega Force ends, they'll probably sign a 1-year contract with the new cast. Once that season ends, they will, much like they do every year, they will get new cast. The only difference is that the episodes will be 20 episodes a year, It could be 24 because of course things could change at any time. But as I mentioned in my previous blog, they probably will do that. Okay, they will not do hybrids. They will just do pretty much the same methods that they do with Power Rangers. 1 year with 1 year cast, but only 20 episodes instead of your usual 40 or 38 episodes. So anyway, what do you guys think about the new Saban Brands Nickelodeon contract to extend Power Rangers for until 2016? Please post your comments in the links below.